Welcome to the pilot episode. My name is Tori, and I am Native American, and the other voice you'll hear is Atris. He is mostly British, and for lack of a better term, a huge science fiction nerd. But we thought it might be interesting to have me go through my culture's mythology, starting with the creation myth. And I know that I didn't go through all of it, but we were doing this at 3 in the morning, and we were both sleep deprived and exhausted, and we managed to cut this down into a reasonable size video, but we weren't done until the sun came up. We were doing this for 4 hours on zero sleep, and to that point, you might notice that my audio quality is going to drop down after the intro. I was on my phone because it was 3 in the morning. We have done the best we can with the audio quality for this episode, but again, it's just a pilot. We're going to get better for the next one, so I am sorry about that. Now, on to the disclaimer. This is intended as a fun little podcast that is somewhat educational, hopefully bringing to light the lesser known aspects of mythology, at least from North and South America, when we get around to that. If you get offended by it, then I'm sorry, but if I'm not getting offended by it while we're doing it, then what does that say about you, you know? If you have something to add, go ahead and post comments. We both pride ourselves on if we are wrong, then we want to know. We want to learn. We want to better ourselves. So if we missed something, be it the mythology or the science fiction aspect of it, because we get into some stuff, right? The idea was I bring a more grounded aspect to this debate, for lack of a better word, and Atris brings the out there crazy science fiction theories. And as he'll tell you, I don't just love mythology, I also love science. And he stumbles over his words a little bit, but I don't have a degree, neither does he. But we both love learning in general. I often say learning is my passion. So, if you have any corrections, please respectfully put them in the comments below. And if you want to vote on the next topic, go ahead and leave that too. We had some discussions, and it might be either Blackfoot, which is also part of my lineage, or we might go south. So something like the Maya or the Incans or the Aztecs, something like that. We haven't really decided yet, so if you want to have an input. That being said, we hope you all enjoy this pilot for what we hope will become a regular series. Thank you for watching.
So, this was a really, really silly idea that we came up with while just sort of shooting the shit. Basically, I write a lot of science fiction and come up with some really weird and out there ideas. And Tori is a fantastic science. Well, they have a compendium of all scientific knowledge under their hat, but also they love creation myths. And we figured the best one to start with was probably the one that you come from, Cherokee, or well, Cherokee and Blackfoot, but Cherokee predominantly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a tiny little bit of Blackfoot in there somewhere. Like, we know it's there, but we don't even know who it came from.
I would love to hear the Blackfoot creation myth, but I have a sneaking suspicion that it's corn, blood for the blood god, skulls for the skull throne sort of deal. But like, it could be really cool.
True. I'll have to look into it.
But yeah, so I suppose we just start with in the beginning.
The earth is a great island floating in a sea of water and suspended at each of the 4 cardinal points by a cord hanging down from the sky vault, which is of solid rock.
So, just really quick, because I always look at these things because knowing what we know now, right? The Earth isn't flat.
Right.
The sky isn't made of stone. I don't know how to redo this. Maybe we just don't. Maybe I just explained that we actually got to this point, and I had like this weird revelation. Like I had an epiphany the first time that I heard this, where it was like we were talking about how a lot of ancient religions and creation myths sound. If you put it in the view of like a galactic community, right? You have the Greek pantheon, which could just very well be a very simplistic retelling of like a galactic war, where all the gods were vassal states to this massive titanic empire called Kronos, and the different factions in the sky. Where it's just very very interesting ways of putting it. But basically, the sky vault connected to the Earth at 4 points, a shell around the Earth. The sky itself is stone, made me think of a Dyson sphere. And it's connected to the ground or to the Earth at 4 corners. Them not having a means of transportation, maybe they only saw 4.
Right. So your idea is that there's more than 4, it's just the local area. You could only see 4 from where they were.
Precisely. And so from their perspective, the sky itself was stone or steel. Stone because, well, I mean, who has a concept of metal right off the bat? And it's connected with these glittering spires. Because if the sky itself is stone, where's the light coming from? What would space elevators have? They'd have fucking running lights. And in the distance, that would look like strings.
True.
Right?
There is more later on that I didn't get to because we wanted to save it for this,
right.
But
I'm sorry. Okay, just understand that I'm going to interject with little like weird theories and like ways to tie this into a scientific understanding of what this is.
Absolutely fine.
I don't mean anything by it. I just genuinely look at things as inspiration for what I'm going to do next.
But
okay.
The next part is, when the world grows old and worn out, the people will die and the cords will break, and let the earth sink down into the sea of water, and all will be water again. The Indians are afraid of this.
I forgot just how fucking metal that is. Just yes. This is the apocalypse. Again, starting with Revelations where Satan controls the earth. Everyone believes Satan is an angel of God, which he is. And or Lucifer is the angel of God. Satan is somebody completely different, possibly, maybe. The theory that's been going around recently.
Well, that theory actually comes from Satan. If you translated it, it just means
opposer.
adversary. Yeah, opposer, adversary, something like that. It never actually meant a specific person. There are multiple, quote unquote, Satan throughout the entirety of the Bible.
Which it makes sense because he's sort of inconsistent.
Mm-hmm. That's because it's never the same one. It is just the opposer. That's all it meant.
Wait, that makes it so much deeper.
Mm-hmm.
In any case, so the world, repeat it real quick.
When the world grows old and worn out, the cords will break, and then the earth will sink down into the ocean. Everything will be water again. All the people will be dead. The Indians are much afraid of this.
I wonder if there's a weird translation where old and worn out could have just been when it's done, when it's complete.
Could be.
Because it's like,
oh, this is going back to the Dyson sphere thing again. Yeah.
yeah. When it's complete, the strings will break, and the Indians are much afraid of this.
Yes.
Because that means they'll be all alone in the Star Ocean, or the Ocean of Stars. Sorry.
Which, when we do get around to the, I believe it's the Aztecs, their creation myth about where the stars came from is like the most metal thing I've ever heard of in my life. It's amazing.
Can't wait to hear it. I can't wait to hear it.
But this, right? And probably a good time to note, it's been 15 years since I've actually been anywhere near the tribes or anything. So, full disclosure, I have had to look these up, right? And I'll put the sources in the description. But so anytime it's worded slightly different, I'm going back and forth between two versions of this. So,
on another note, when it grows old, maybe there's a missing old enough. When it comes of age, when it comes to fruition, or when it dies. I don't know. I don't know enough about the idiosyncrasies of the language to come up with potential mistranslations or just misunderstandings.
well, in that vein, there is a lot of words that in English we take for granted that Cherokees don't really have. Like, there's a word for home. There's a word for land, earth, stuff like that, but there's not a word for homeland, because homeland was where we're at. We are from here. They would just motion out and be like, we are from here. They didn't think of it as a homeland. It was just, this is where we're at right now. This is where we're from.
In terms of language, the idea of a territory is very it's very colonial. They didn't have a lot of outside contact with other peoples, right? And the other tribes usually stuck to their area, didn't they?
It depended on the tribe. It depended on the tribe. There was there was trading back and forth and stuff, but for the most part, it was generally any tribe around you was of the same kind of people as you. So, like, you're Cherokee, you go to the next one over, they are also Cherokee, right? They are still one people, you know?
And not only that, but, like, if you think about it, imagine if instead of people asking where you are from, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you say here, that is just sorry, not here, but like okay, why would you have a my brain is going at 1,000,000 miles an hour right now, because why is there a God, all right. So when somebody asks where you are from, they respond with,
oh, we would generally respond with, we are from the Cherokee people. Okay. We don't respond with the land we're from. We respond with the people we are from.
Okay. To explain, when you said they would gesture around and say we are from here.
That too, yes. That's why it's confusing, because, well, that was in reference to we don't have a word for homeland. That's what I was referencing there. But when someone just asked us that question directly, we would say we are from the Cherokee people.
My brain immediately jumps to the idea of somebody visiting Earth, and they ask somebody, so where are you from? Oh, we're from here. We grew up here. And that's where my brain went, because it was like, oh, okay, hang on.
Right.
Why is that the default? Why is the default to just be like, oh, we're from here?
Well,
that tells me nothing.
Well, because the concept of borders and this line in the sand means you're French, and if you're on this side, you're English. You know, that didn't really exist to them. It was just the land. You were from the land, right? You came from your people.
Okay.
You live here. This area, like what you see, that's our home.
I'm sorry for derailing a little bit.
Oh no, it's fine. It's fine. I'm glad. I love that you're curious because I can't. People just don't. They're just like, oh, you're Cherokee. That's cool. They're not like, oh my god, you're Cherokee. Tell me about it. You know?
Well, it's just like it's. I don't understand why people are so dismissive of other people's perspectives and histories. It is fucking badass that like the creation myth it just starts with the end. We know that this is going to happen. We are very much afraid of it.
Mm-hmm.
That is so damn cool.
It's just that little disclaimer of yeah, we'll get to how it started, but let me tell you how it's going to end. All right. It's I don't know why it always starts that way. It starts that way here with the reading, but I do remember some of the stories from the tribe, and they started it that way too. So,
well, from a certain perspective, it makes sense. Not starting from the end, but like the idea that this is common sense that the world will end.
Yeah.
Although in this instance, I don't think that they were saying that the world will end because I'm insane. I'm crazy. I'm not from this culture, and from an outside perspective looking in, my brain as a storyteller is like, something doesn't feel right.
I've never really thought about it from a lens of science or near future science fiction sort of thing, like a Dyson sphere. It was just the stories that we were told, you know?
I say Dyson sphere, but the idea that I have is that it's either like a swarm of ships that interlock around a planet, right?
Right.
Cutting it off from outside communication, which is terrifying in and of itself, but like or it just opens up like Unicron and swallows the planet, you know?
Yeah.
And then they snake these space elevators down to go down and do their shit and interact with the native population, and then they just move on. But the story opens with a disclaimer that these people will leave.
You're gonna really like where people come from. Where people come from, it's just gonna your head's gonna explode.
Please, okay, continue. I'm sorry, I keep derailing this. Please go on.
Well, that's towards the very end because once the people are made, it goes from creation mythology to general mythology, and so. But
right.
So the next part is the actual beginning. In the long time ago, when everything was all water, all the animals lived up above in the sky vault. That's not the native word, but no.
I'm sorry to interrupt again. But when everything was water, what this tells me is one, water can have many meanings, right? What is water? Water is flexible. Water is changeable, right? The animals being in the sky vault means that they were either brought here or created there.
We're not going to get into it in this, but part of the general mythology, sort of mysticism stuff of Cherokee is that rivers are actually sacred and you can communicate with spirits through them.
Okay.
So it might even be more nebulous than that, and it's just when everything was water, when there was nothing, when it was just the spirit world and there was no planet.
Maybe, but now my brain has gone to what if water okay. Imagine you come across programmable matter for the first time. or like a swarm of nanomachines,
Right.
and to come in contact with it is to commune with them, right? And
Yeah.
let's say, for example, that this swarm of nanomachines or programmable matter is clear or like water. So when the Earth was still in its inert state, ready to be made, I don't know. I'm getting...
I don't want to encourage you or spoil anything, but at the same time, that lines up freakishly well with the pull of creation.
Okay, hang on. I'm writing because
again, that's not in this, but
okay. Just give me a second.
Yeah, it's which the pull of creation isn't actually part of the creation myth. It's a separate thing, but it's just
well, again, so the animals are still in the skybox. They are still in the in the sky, right?
Right, and the last part of that sentence actually is beyond the stone arch that made the sky.
I'm sorry, what?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's an arch. So again, from one perspective, an arch could be one part of a sphere that made the sky.
Yeah.
From their perspective, yeah. If an egg cracks, if a chicken comes out of an egg, does the chicken assume that the egg created the outside?
Maybe. I've never gotten one to talk. No, I get your point.
Okay.
I do get your point.
You're delving into my insanity, where I'm looking at this and I'm like, oh my god, how would somebody view this if they had no knowledge of how celestial bodies work, or if they were told this in simplistic terms that they didn't really, or even advanced terms that they didn't understand, and so they substituted words that they learned.
Yeah, I mean, very easily could be something like that. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. So, sheesh.
Your mind's exploding, isn't it?
A little bit, yeah. Because, like, this is... It's not like I'm unraveling some truth. I'm not saying that this is what it is. I'm not saying that the religion is invalid. It's just, this is inspiration in its truest form.
Yeah.
And I know it's a little bit not irreverent, but like I am... it's like robbing somebody's grave for gold. This is something sacred to somebody else.
Sure.
And I'm using it to fuel my imagination. Which...
Well, even that's not really that bad of a thing, because a lot of these stories are meant to inspire, and if that's the effect they're having on you, then that's not a bad thing. So
I hope other people will see it that way. considering my race and background.
well, as a native, I can say that it makes me very happy to hear you get so excited, even if it is going into the sci-fi stuff. Just you being excited to learn and to hear it and what that evokes out of you, that makes me happy as a native. So,
well, like, the art of storytelling, right, is rich in Native American culture, and having to trying to write my own stories and come up with ways to convey complex thoughts and details. The fact that this is what survived for all those years, just centuries, if not millennia, that is impossibly interesting.
I can't even imagine what this would have sounded like even 100 years ago, before any influences. And then this is translated into English, and it's not
it's not hitting me with the full force because I don't know what the words mean or what the context is. That's the really wild thing about language.
Yeah.
Is that a word that means water could mean something else. That's why I'm being so liberal with the okay, so with the earth was water. What does that mean? Fluid is infinitely reconfigurable. It'll fill a space, right? It is likened to just it's immaterial. It has no shape.
Yeah,
it is shape that whatever it is in, it takes. It's what you give it. That's why when I heard the earth was water, or the earth was like water, or the earth was old, or the earth was done, right? That's why I was just like, okay, but what other meanings does that have?
It is worth note that it's not the earth was all water. It's everything. Land. Everything was all water.
Well, except for the sky. So everything inside of the sky, everything inside of the sphere,
right,
was water, or like water, or something that, yeah. You get what I mean. All right, where were we? I'm sorry.
The animals lived up above in... I'm trying so hard not to say that word because I know nobody knows what it means.
Let's say it. What is the word?
Galunati.
And that roughly translates to skybox.
Sky vault.
Sky vault, sorry.
Roughly. Not... It's one of those things that's the closest in English that you're ever going to get, but that's not what it means, you know?
Yeah.
But,
Sky hold.
Yeah. It's
just a safe place. A vault is a safe place.
That might actually be a better interpretation is a safe place, yes. A safe place in the sky, more or less.
Yeah.
Right, so the animals were up there, beyond the stone arch that made the sky. But it was very much crowded. All the animals wanted more room. The animals began to wonder what was below the water, and at last, Beaver's grandchild, Little Water Beetle, offered to go and find out. Water Beetle darted in every direction over the surface of the water, but it could find no place to rest.
Okay, so there was no land. Okay, one thing I want to address. So, in cultures, right? You see this in a few places where we name things after other things, right?
Right.
So what if these are proper names rather than species?
Yes and no.
Yes and no. Because what I'm thinking is we equate these terms to the animal because we used those terms for the animal because we didn't have a name for them, and they are just conveniently in the myth.
Well, there is a distinction later on between the animals and people.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well, not people. Keep in mind that these were things that came with the sky, that were in the sky when the myth started.
Oh, so you're thinking these are the, I guess in this would be the extraterrestrials?
Extraterrestrials, or even servitors, or just parts of the sky that operate a certain function. Water Beetle being a scout, or perhaps just a quality service assurance thing, where it's just like, yep, no contaminants in the soup, no
in the soup.
No hitchhikers, no pre-existing native population. I have searched this ball of water. There is nothing here.
this next part is gonna light you on fire, and I just there's a lot to unpack in this one, so just
Okay.
let me finish it before you explode, okay?
Okay.
So it could find no place to rest. There was no land at all. Then Water Beetle dived to the bottom of the water and brought up some soft mud. This began to grow and spread out on every side until it became the island which we call the Earth. Afterward, this Earth was fastened to the sky with 4 cords, but no one remembers who did this.
What? Okay, hang on. Sorry. So, one, Water Beetle dived down and grabbed some mud.
Yes.
I don't know what to do with that, besides, like, what if the Water Beetle just interacts with the programmable matter and this creates a surface for the anchors to come down, and since it's an automated process, nobody remembers who did this.
Well, to ground it a little bit, one of the things I think is interesting in this is this began to grow and spread out on every side until it became the island, which we call the Earth. To me, that's talking about how they knew the edges of the continents. They knew there was water on all sides. They didn't know what was past it, but they knew where they lived, you know? What's the sci-fi version of that?
So they
considered the entire Earth to be an island on endless water, essentially,
okay.
which to me says that they knew that there was water. Well, no, well, yeah, maybe that's
and the ocean.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get to. Was they knew there was ocean on both sides, right? They thought they lived on a giant island.
Well, so you often hear romanticized versions of Earth is an island, right?
An island of hospitability in a sea of danger. Yeah.
Yes. But also, what? How is space-time described?
Scientifically?
Yeah, well, not necessarily scientifically, but simplistically, because I've heard it described as a fluid.
It depends on how you're talking about it. The most simple version I can think of is, do you know what a Klein bottle is?
Sort of. It's a bottle that's basically a Mobius strip, where the inside is the same as the outside, and the
Right.
Yeah.
But you know how to get from one to the other, right? You extrude it around itself to create that.
Yeah, my brain is breaking, but yeah.
So, you know the experiment that they do where they put like a bowling ball in the middle of a stretchy sheet and then you spin a golf ball around it and that shows an orbit?
Yes.
The way to think about space-time is to take the shape of that stretchy fabric and extrude it around itself like you would do to make a Klein bottle, and then that's how you think about space-time.
Formless, shapeless
things that mass can interact with and bend and shape it. Yeah.
Hear me out. Waterbug pulled the Earth out of space-time.
Oh, okay.
As in something from an ocean of nothing. Not just space-time, but perhaps a completely different place. They went under the water, past the folds of reality. This is not I'm just spitballing here because again, this is so vague and yet so specific. You get what I mean, though, right?
Yeah, I do.
The problem is that Waterbug just did something that my brain can't reconcile. They reached into nothing and brought out something.
Yes.
And so what my brain is trying to reconcile is, what is water? Because water isn't water in this context. It can't be.
water is sacred to the Cherokee. It's a lot of things. It's the life
Oh
giver.
shit!
It's
Of course it was. But the question is it actually water, and not just it's immaterium. We just use water as a it could be very possible that they just used water as imagery. Trying to hold space-time in your hands, it just goes right through.
Well, I love water. For Cherokees, it's even physical water, like just the stuff we drink. It's more than just water, you know?
Well, yeah, it gives life. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't live without water.
But
But beyond that,
it's also a connection to other worlds. It's a medium. It's so many things.
I have so many questions, and I can't wait to hear some of these definitions, because if I can link this to some like branch of science, okay, just I will reserve judgment, but like the idea that water is a window to another world for one instance, right?
Mhm.
What is one of the easiest ways to observe the microscopic? You take a droplet of water and you look very, very fucking close.
You're not wrong.
It is a window to another world, one we do not understand, nor deign to understand, or pretend like we know what's really going on in there.
Sure.
And beyond that, like, there's the ocean. It's just. Sorry, I'm blending metaphor and literal definition, which is really, really hurting my brain.
Well, it's not going to get any better.
Continue.
All right. At first, the earth was flat and soft and wet. The animals were anxious to get down, and they sent out different birds to see if it was yet dry. But there was no place to alight, so the birds came back to the vault.
So what this now tells me is there was no place to alight, even though there was land.
Yes.
The land was wet and flat.
And soft.
And soft.
Mm-hmm. Malleable, I guess. It was like clay, was something that they used to say a lot.
Like clay. Well, okay. The thing is that you've taken a metaphor for a metaphor. Which, yeah, okay, it was like clay. Great. That just means that it's even more like, what is clay? You make pots out of it. I.e., it's something that you make things out of.
Oh! I told you it wasn't going to get any better.
I know, but it's like I'm not discouraging you from telling me the alternate like ways that this is told, because that really helps. Because if it's conflicting, that means that they're trying to convey a complex thought. That's what I keep telling people when they're like, "Oh, but the scriptures are so different." Yes, because they're trying to convey something complex, something that we don't really understand 100%.
And to that point, even just talking about just the Bible, which is something that was written down, right? Not like this, which is oral history, but that was written down by different people with different experiences and different interpretations. So imagine
different interpretations and different prejudices.
And so imagine this, stuff like this, the oral history where every single lifetime, every time it was told, it could have changed just a little bit with the new understanding that we gained that lifetime.
Or even forgotten knowledge.
Exactly.
Because,
I would have loved to have heard this story 100 years ago, 200 years ago, you know? Just to hear how much more it could have been back then.
Even like, because it's not just the thing with oral tradition is, one, the words change. With scripture, it's set. It's literally set in stone.
Yeah.
With oral history, you need like a full production. Like I've seen like I grew up in the Boy Scouts, which has some really weird ties to Native American stuff, and it's not. I
Does
say
it?
weird because it does. Because they sort of co-opt a lot of it because the British are awful.
For anyone that doesn't know, Atris is partially British.
If not full.
Yeah.
But the like Lord Baden-Powell, the founder of the Boy Scouts, all the mentalities and ideologues of the Boy Scouts are partially in line with the military, and the other bit of it is, I believe, native understandings of the land.
Okay.
And it's really, really fucking cringy when you like go through it, and I actually like forcefully forgot most of it because it's just so fucking stereotypical.
Probably nothing like the stuff you're finding out from knowing me, huh?
Oh no, it's oh my god, somewhere I have a framed arrow that I made to, so like they took it as a symbol of endeavor and risk. Yeah, no,
Okay.
it's really, really fucking cringy.
That's terrible. That's just a basic skill. Like,
no. Just the symbology of the arrow.
that's not what it.
Not
okay.
I know. Anyways,
sorry.
continuing the fine tradition of the British taking the lovely things that the natives have and twisting it into things that should not exist.
Yeah, that's.
God damn it.
So the birds.
Can you tell we're having fun self-shaming?
Yeah.
Okay, so the birds couldn't land because the ground was still immaterial.
Yeah. Like, sure.
Well, they said that there was no place to alight or to roost.
Yes.
There's no place to land.
That's because it was flat, soft, and wet. There was no solid ground, and there was no trees or anything like that.
Well, okay, but birds hop along the ground. There's something else to it. There has to be, because like the amount of like how many birds are on the ground outside, like at any given moment, just easily observable from the tribe lands.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask, do you mean here or where I grew up? Because there's very different answers.
I understand that there's like I know that storks exist, but storks aren't native to where this creation myth might have been forged.
It gets into that into the next part, but it's North Carolina, Tennessee, that region.
Okay.
So, just so you know where they're talking about in all of this.
I'll have to do some independent research, but this is really good stuff.
But to answer your question, they were everywhere on the tribes, and it wasn't even just like ducks and stuff like that. I mean, you could see sparrows and blue jays and robins, all sorts of things, just hopping around.
Okay. So there's the different thing. There's the a different question. Are ducks native to that area? Like properly native, not invasive?
I don't know.
Because again, if the water was actually water,
Oh, good point.
Wouldn't ducks be able to sit on it? That's their roost. They love the water. Why didn't they go down? Because it's not water.
True.
It's just like water. It's a complex idea that has been simplified for the ease of retelling. Water being a dangerous thing to humans. Sure, you can survive in it for a little bit, right?
Right.
But you can't. It's not tenable. I'm sorry. I'm defending this point because it's logically right. They were able to observe animal behavior enough to know that a water beetle skates on the surface of water. But why are the birds not able to land on the land?
Right.
What's going on there? What's the difference?
I will say, if you're going to try to bring logic to everything in this, you're going to lose your mind, because there's some stuff that just makes no sense.
I don't think I'm losing my mind. I think it's fascinating. Because it's something that they were trying to convey, right?
Right.
That they don't have the words for. Or maybe they did, but they don't have the context for.
Right. Makes sense.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just being too British.
I mean, that's kind of half the reason we decided to do this. So.
I mean, yeah, just
a complete outsider learning our traditions and our creation myths and stuff. So.
Well, I think it's fantastic. Because it's again, if you think about it, we understand. It just from casual observation, ducks love water. Ducks walk on land almost constantly. Why and even mud? Why aren't they doing it now? And they're native to that area. Common, almost overpopulated, probably. Why? Why won't they land? I'm over fixating. I'm sorry. Continue, please.
No place to alight, so the birds came back to Gazinlate. Then at last it seemed to be time again, so they sent out Buzzard. They told him to go and make ready for them. This was the great Buzzard, the father of all the buzzards we see now.
Now this it stalls out. Buzzard. For some context, is there do the tribes have a concept of the buzzard that I'm not grasping? Like, is it in the same way that Anubis is the person who guides the spirit to the underworld? A buzzard is a raptor, or not just a raptor, but it's a type of bird that it's a scavenger. You often see it around dead or dying animals. Right?
I'm seeing if you can get to it on your own. You're on the right track, yeah. There is something,
is it associated with end of life or possibly not necessarily rebirth, perhaps, but just a guiding spirit?
Not necessarily. So
okay.
The buzzards. So traditionally to us, we thought the buzzards possessed power over contagious diseases, and they were regarded as the doctor among birds. So one thing we would do is place a buzzard feather above our doors if if there was like an illness going through, and they would protect us from the disease,
We need a little colored flag outside of our home that just tells us the general state of what's going on in that home. Oh, they're flying the yellow checker that's letting, or hang on, it's like a yellow with a green or black dot on it that is like disease or something. Talking naval maritime stuff.
I don't know.
But like, imagine it. Like, I get that that's social media now, but like in terms of a community being able to tell when an occupant is unhappy, or when somebody is sick, or when there's been a death, right? That's kind of important. So having something like a buzzard feather above the door, that brings a community together.
It wasn't a buzzard feather to signify that you had disease. It was thought to ward off the disease.
No, I get that. My brain immediately went to social engineering.
Oh, yeah. What we called buzzards translates to peace eagle.
Peace eagle?
Because they look like an eagle from far away, right? But they don't hunt their prey. They don't kill anything. They just scavenge. They are very peaceful. So
that is a really, 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 really interesting concept.
Yeah. So they sent out the peace eagle and told him to go make ready for them.
Well, that's rude. Go do all the work. We want a place to stay. Okay. I heal all your diseases, fix all your calluses, and your runny noses, and this is the thanks I get? You give me hard manual labor? Sorry.
The next part's it's kind of long, but it's crazy.
Okay.
He flew all over the earth, low down near the ground, and it was still soft. When he reached the Cherokee country, he was very tired. His wings began to flap and strike the ground. There was a valley wherever they struck the earth. Whenever the wings turned upwards again, there was a mountain. When the animals above saw this, they were afraid that the whole world would be mountains, so they called him back. But the Cherokee country remains full of mountains to this day.
Hang on, start over. So he flew into Cherokee country, and he was tired.
Yes, so his wings began to flap and strike the ground, and where they struck the ground, there were valleys.
What the hell?
And whenever the wings turned upwards again, there were mountains.
Again, conveying a complex idea of, well, one, it's terraforming.
Yeah.
It's just plain and simple. But then there's this moment of, like, corporate panic where it's like, oh no! It's too hilly! Come back! Stop what you're doing!
Yeah.
I love that.
They were afraid that the whole world would be mountains, so they called him back. Yep. But it's interesting. The Great Buzzard shaped the land, so
it is, and I'm very curious about that, because it's like, why the buzzard? I mean, obviously it had to be one of the birds because nobody can walk on it. It has to all be flying, right?
Right.
Buzzard already has significance as I guess he's just the guy who solves problems.
Well, breaking it down even more, thinking about it, the buzzard was the biggest bird we knew of, right?
That's fair.
We didn't know about ostriches, which they don't fly either, but wingspan and actual physical size, buzzards were the biggest that the Cherokee knew of at the time. So it was literally just the biggest one, and the one that protects us. So he gave us a place to live alongside that.
Okay, I'm gonna have questions about the one that protects us.
Well, I was referencing, the protection from diseases and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not. There's different animals, spirits, gods, whatever you want to call them, for different protection things, but that one's diseases because they eat dead shit and don't die. So we were just like, oh, okay, they don't get sick. you know?
I mean, that's a very simplistic way of putting it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But also, like, I find it interesting. Do you have no malicious figures in places of power?
Not in the creation myth, and most of them are from our own making.
See, I really like that. Because with Christianity, it's like, oh, there's this guy called Satan, and he tempts us. And it's just like, that shit's our own damn fault. What the hell's wrong with you?
Yeah, most of the really bad stuff, most of it, there are a couple of animals, but most of it is stuff of our own making. Like, and I don't think this one applies necessarily to the Cherokee, but you do know of, like, Wendigo and Skinwalker, what their origin is, right?
For the most part, we committed sins against humanity and nature, and that created that.
Mm-hmm. One of, I think it's the Wendigo. I think it's the Wendigo. But one of the creation stories for Wendigo, and I'm sorry if it's not the Wendigo, it might be Skinwalkers. Those two are very close to each other. It just kind of depends on which side of the line you are, Canada or the US. So they're very similar. But it was a family was starving, right? Throughout the winter. And
oh yeah, this is definitely Wendigos.
yeah. And they ran out of food, right? And they tried to stay strong through it, and they started dying. And the one that survived because they were already dead. He needed food, right?
Right.
You see where that's going, but
a less violent Donner Party.
but it was still seen as an unnatural act.
Yes,
something that stained his soul, and he became a monster from the act of doing that, even though he needed to survive. So even something like the Wendigo, which is just insanely mythological and out there, it's a monster, even that, we created it, right? Well, it's our fault.
I don't know why we get punished for recycling.
Because life, that's complicated. You're not.
I get it. The sanctity of
yeah. And it was just such an unnatural act.
Yeah.
To eat another person is not natural. It's not. You're not supposed to do it. So the nature spirits look down on stuff like that, and then you get to stuff like the Blackfoot, and it's just like they don't give a shit. That the meat is meat, So it's fascinating how drastically different things are between the tribes, and I think people forget that.
back to where we were. Buzzard did a little bit of malicious compliance where the others told him to go make the land ready for them. And he's just like, all right, where should we be? Where should we be? Fuck it, I'm tired. Creates like the most violent landscape. And the others are like, oh, no!
Not sure he did it on purpose, but yeah.
I would love the idea that he did. Like a person, part of a group project that was told to just do it all.
So, you know how you were asking where the light came from?
How I was asking what?
You remember how you were asking where the light came from inside the arch?
Yes, actually.
Okay. This is another one that's got a lot to unpack, so...
Okay.
When the earth was dry and the animals came down, it was still dark. Therefore, they got the sun and set it on a track to go every day across the island from east to west, just overhead. It was too hot this way. Red Crawfish had his shells scorched a bright red, so that his meat was spoiled. Therefore, the Cherokee do not eat it.
Oh, hey, hold up. Okay. First and foremost, meat is already red and quote-unquote spoiled. Second, they got the sun and put it on a track.
Mm-hmm.
But I love the idea that they got out a synthetic sun, and unfortunately, it was too hot when they turned it on, and it was miscalibrated.
It was also too close because they put it just overhead.
Oh god. Okay. Most creation myths, it's just like, and it was perfect. No, the fucking Cherokee have like mismanagement everywhere.
Yeah.
The people who set up the synthetic sun set it up too close. Like, come on.
This next part's even crazier. Remember, we still haven't referenced any people, right?
Right, okay.
Then the medicine men raised the sun a hand's breadth in the air, but it was still too hot. They raised it another time, and then another time. At last, they had raised it 7 hands' breadths, so that it was just under the sky arch. Then it was right, and they left it so. That is why the medicine men called the high place the 7th height. Every day the sun goes along under this arch on the underside. It returns at night on the upper side of the arch to its starting place.
Okay, hang on. I'm gonna have to ask you to wind it back. Hang on. The medicine men.
The medicine men raised the sun a hand's breadth in the air, but it was still too hot.
Okay. First and foremost, what the fuck? So medicine men existed before the creation of humanity.
No.
No. Are they just part of the animals in the ark?
Yeah. The people were also up there. We just haven't gotten to it yet, but yeah, the people were also up there.
Well, there was a part of it where the sun goes on the outside.
Every day the sun goes along under this arch on the underside. It returns at night on the upper side of the arch to its starting place.
That there's nothing really to unpack there besides like it's just how they understood orbits, or possibly just
I just think it's interesting because even at this point, they still didn't think that the sun was going around the planet. They thought it was circling along the edge of the arch, so it went during the day. It was traveling along the underside of it, where we could see it, and the arch itself is what blocked out the sun's light when it went back to the other side for it to start over.
Man, I'm so glad we operate on orbits and not arch time. The idea that I'm trying to interpret this with some kind of fucking logic. Well, hang on. So, I feel like there was something that I missed that you really wanted me to latch on to.
No. I'm just really excited for the next part because now it's about to get crazy.
Okay.
Another long one.
Okay.
No. Yeah, I can stop there. There is another world under this earth. It is like this one in every way. The animals, the plants, and the people are the same, but the seasons are different.
Oh, okay. Hold up. So, can I just say, okay, so that's obviously climates, right? But they had a concept of the other side of the earth. Okay, hear me out. Because again, this was passed down and quite possibly warped. So, imagine just for a moment, right, that they thought the earth was flat, but there's a world underneath, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's exactly the same, but it has different seasons or different weathers, right?
Right.
They didn't understand the concept of orbits, but their sky is still an arch, and the sun wraps around the side of the arch, right?
Right.
How does the other side's sun work?
Well,
right? No. Because I'm thinking about this. What my brain's coming up with is that perhaps at one point the creation myth accurately described how the sun moves, and then at some point some guy was like, "That doesn't make sense. Surely the sky isn't like this the sky that we see is the only one that exists because the land is flat."
I love the way that I set this up. You're gonna hate me.
Am I gonna get humbled?
The streams that come down from the mountains are the trials by which we reach this underworld.
Well, traveling the rivers?
Mm-hmm. The springs at their head are the doorways by which we enter it. But to enter the other world, one must be fast and then go to the water and have one of the underground people as a guide.
What? Well, okay, that makes a modicum of sense because it's just like, why would you go to a place you don't know without a guide?
Yeah. This is the part that always catches me up because it's such a huge leap in logic, but it makes sense. Right?
Okay.
We know that the seasons in the underground world are different because the water in the spring is always warmer in winter than the air in this world, and in summer the water is cooler.
What?
We know that the seasons in the underground world are different because the water in the spring is always warmer in winter than the air in this world, and in summer the water is cooler. And spring as in the water spring, not the season. The water coming out of the ground was warmer than the air during winter, and in the summer it's cooler. So they thought the underground world had the opposite seasons. When it was winter here, it was summer there, and vice versa.
That is so out of pocket, but somehow correct.
I know! It's like they have this idea that the other side of the planet is just physically beneath them,
and they're looking for any kind of reason to justify that this knowledge that has been passed down.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
That's why I set it up that way, to get you thinking about them knowing the other side of the planet exists, because I know you're doing the sci-fi thing and having the knowledge passed down to them. And then I went into this because to us it's the underworld, it's beneath our feet, it's the other side. But through that lens, yeah, well, yeah. But through that lens of them knowing about the other world and not knowing how to, the other side of the world and not knowing how to explain it, this makes sense as knowledge that's been passed down to them, right?
Yeah, and okay, can I just say, the fact that this is knowledge that is passed down is fucking wild!
Yeah.
Sure, it's been twisted, but it's the most accurate thing I've ever heard!
And it makes no damn sense, but they're right.
And again, that's why I'm trying to apply logic, because there is always going to be some kind of misunderstanding or reason why they use certain words.
Mm-hmm. Like, the only thing, you've got me in the sci-fi mindset, and I need to ground myself. But along that path, that vein is like, if an alien told them there are other people, they're just on the other side, right?
Yeah.
Underworld, where we go when we die, and they'd be just like, so where are they? And the aliens would just look around and be like, they're down there, the other side, down there, all the way down there.
Because gravity, yeah.
Yeah.
And when they're trying to explain orbits, they say the sun goes around, right?
Right.
It wraps around.
When you can't see it, it's on the other side. But for them, that means the other side of the arch. You got me in the sci-fi mindset, and I need to bring it back and ground myself, because I'm supposed to be the native perspective in this argument.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm such a terrible influence.
No, well, that's part of the reason why you wanted me to be the other side, is because I love both sides of the argument, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That, and you give me carte blanche to make these terrible jokes.
Yeah. I think it's funny.
Okay, so this information, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to untwist it from what is explained away, right, versus what is actually, because, like, again, the fact that the Cherokee have a concept of the other side of the world. They have a concept of the sun leaving and returning on a cycle.
Yep.
On a track, even.
Mm-hmm. It's always in the same place in the sky. It followed a track.
I just had a different thought. Do the Cherokee have a word for lava?
Do we?
Because if you don't, how do you describe lava?
I'm not.
Because it moves like a fluid. It moves like a fluid. And is it quite possible that the only word that they could attribute to it is water?
I mean,
because lava and tectonic
fire.
Well, I suppose, yeah, they'd probably use fire instead of water. Damn. I really do like the idea that water bug, or the water bug, pulled land from, like, just the immaterium, the like, space-time, like Earth was somewhere else. Ooh, hang on.
I don't think we have a word for lava. But, I mean, again, they're originated in North Carolina, Tennessee, that area. So it's like we didn't need a word for it because it's not something we experienced. So no, I don't think we have a word for it. Firewater, maybe? I don't know. Oh,
All right. Anyways, so the medicine men.
Do you need me to repeat it?
No. My brain has stumbled on something else. Why do they specify the medicine men?
I guess you would think of medicine men as like the wise men or the elders or the ones that know the most, sort of thing.
Okay. Are you familiar with tribes that took up the abandoned air bases?
No.
Okay.
What?
No.
That
I
happened?
swear this yes. Yeah. Just hear me out. All right. After World War II, we pulled out of the Pacific Theater and we
Right.
left behind, and even during Vietnam, right? This is a phenomenon that's been happening ever since global war existed. We have been leaving military assets in places, right?
Right.
So there is a tribe that has recreated the day-to-day life of what it was like during wartime, but in a warped perspective. Because what they observed were basically, and again, I'm just going to use a metaphor for aliens here. Aliens came down and met giant metal birds and gave us really tasty things in this papery substance, this brown stuff that tastes amazing. And we've never experienced this. And we watch them day to day as this person in in a huge coat waves around these giant orange sticks, right? And these big metal birds came down and more chocolate came out. Right?
That's crazy. Yeah.
Started a whole religion where these people are doing these dances with orange sticks in military gear to try and get the bird to come back down and give them more chocolate.
That sounds like the really just you can't write that shit.
Out.
You can't write that.
Hear me out. Medicine men.
Okay.
Not Cherokee. Medicine men.
Yeah, no, there's a distinction. Yes, these are still not the first people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if these still aren't the first people, what are they? Medicine men. People who bring medicine. People who bring healing. The wise men. The ones who came before.
Mm-hmm.
Smelling what I'm stepping in here?
You mean we took it from the people that were here before us? We're just as bad as y'all. Sorry.
No. But like, why specifically call them medicine men?
I never thought to ask that, honestly.
Because when you think about it, right? The people hadn't been created yet.
Yeah, no.
These are instances of intelligent beings that came before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all of the people, all of the Cherokee are still up in the sky vault. They haven't come down yet. They're not the medicine men.
The medicine men in Native American tribes, they wear very specific get-ups, don't they?
Yes. Yes, they're adorned head to toe.
Uh-huh. Head to toe, waving around orange sticks.
Well,
I'm not literally, but I'm likening it to this, where we observed, or the natives observed a certain thing being done, perhaps waving around a stone tablet. I'm suddenly realizing how much of Star Trek was
Co-opted.
oh my no. Not just co-opted, but like the idea of an advanced civilization is mocking the practices of medicine men. Because what do? They have like I'm trying to remember what the it's a really obscure fact that I know. Sheesh. One of the I watched a healing, right? Where they're running bones over the surface of the body and speaking in tongues.
Languages that they don't understand.
Languages that perhaps they don't understand, or that they just assume that this is going to do something. Again, my brain went to social engineering as soon as you said that when there is a sick person in this house, they put the feather of a buzzard above the door.
No, I didn't say that.
Didn't you?
No, it's not that the sick person. What it is when someone gets sick,
Yeah.
everyone does it because they think that the buzzard will protect them from the illness.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
My apologies. My brain. Okay, everyone. That was the confusion there.
Yeah, we all do it. We all put the buzzard feather above our doorway because it keeps the sickness out of the house.
So now that comes to a different section, which is why. A logical explanation is that somebody did that at some point, and then somebody asked why. And it's not necessarily everyone put a feather above the door, but it was a means of marking specifically where the sick houses are.
Oh, you think it started out as that?
I'm saying it started out as that because logically that makes sense. Marking where the danger is. We've been doing that for centuries, millennia. Marking where the danger is. But because that wasn't explained to the next generation, everyone started doing it with the explanation that it wards away sickness because that's how they beat it the last time.
Yeah.
They put a feather above the door.
Yeah. I actually remember asking why they did that. Someone got the flu, I think, in one while I was there one time. And they did that, and I was just a kid, and I was like, why do you do that? And they went, to keep the sickness away. Why? Because it's a gift from the great buzzard.
And that, right there, it's a gift from the great buzzard. Right?
Yeah. That was literally the only explanation I got, and I was just like,
That's
well,
the only
okay.
explanation that you've got. But it's one of those things where it's just like, is it pure coincidence?
Mm.
I'm sorry. I'm looking at this. I'm trying so desperately not to be an arrogant asshole.
Hey, it's really easy to come off that way through a modern lens.
No, I'm saying it was genius, marking where the danger is. Whether or not it stayed that way, that's not my fault. But like being able to be like, hey, there's a sick person in this house. Great. Like we do that. We do that in times of crisis and in times of during Hurricane or in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina. You might have seen like pictures of homes with an X and then a series of numbers.
Yeah,
like,
I did.
Numbers or letters, and that specifically was sick person in house or 5 people in this house for retrieval, right? 5 corpses, right?
Right. And I grew up in Tornado Alley, and they'll actually do that after a tornado. They'll go through and spray, and they'll put an X on it if there's no one there and someone's already checked the house. There's no bodies. There's no survivors. There's no casualties. There's no one in this house. It's been checked. Move on. They do that there too.
And so, like, disease sort of works itself out.
Eventually.
But in times of great strife with a pandemic, right, you need to mark who's got it. Eventually, everybody's got it because it's a disease. But eventually, it went away.
Maybe that's how the transition happened. Was they did it to signify, hey, that person's sick, and then until everyone got it and everyone had a feather, it didn't go away.
Or maybe it's a blessing from the Great Buzzard.
Yeah.
I don't know. But the way my brain looks at it is that would have been a really, really ingenious thing of, hey, we're marking where the danger is.
Mm-hmm. It makes sense.
And
it does.
And then it just became common practice.
There's a lot of stuff we do that is just, we don't really know how it started. There's just, if you want a story about it, I could tell you one, but it just sort of happens this way. That's just what you do.
Well, it's something that has fascinated me, and why I love this idea that you came up with it, right?
What?
No. Which one of us proposed? I think I proposed that we record it, but you wanted to talk to me about this because it's wild and crazy.
Yeah, I brought this to your attention, and it was your idea to record it.
Yes.
Yeah.
But like this is just cool. Okay. So where were we? Medicine men, not human, possibly, or not Cherokee. Raised the sun, or adjusted the.
Do you want another thing to light your brain on fire? Because there's another translation, not just medicine men.
Okay, in just a moment. Because the other half of what I just thought about was, you know how the sun is the sun getting cooler or hotter?
In this story, it's getting cooler.
No. In real life, we recently discovered that the sun is getting hotter or colder. I forget which.
I don't know about that. I need to look that up.
Because what that smacks of is, what if there was, and going back to the aliens thing, what if our sun was too hot? We are in the Goldilocks zone. What if the aliens did something to the sun to make life habitable here?
What could they?
And we equated that to raising it away from the surface. I swear I'm not on any drugs, everybody. I'm just high on life.
There's mixed opinions on this, actually. I just looked it up. The sun getting hotter or colder.
Yeah.
It will do that eventually. But
well, of course.
But there are also like opinions that it's not actually getting hotter, and
okay.
There are also
contrarian opinions.
Yeah.
Contrarian opinions aside, that has inspired an idea in my mind that literally they cooled down the sun, or did something to the sun to slow its burn or something, to make life on Earth habitable.
I'm trying to think of how they could do that.
The problem is that I'm already fixated on this idea of a Dyson sphere, but what if it was literally an arch? Their ship looked like one. Anyways, you said that there was a different translation for medicine men.
The Conjurers.
Okay, so they're wizards now. Hang on, what the fuck?
Yeah.
That's even worse.
I started with the more grounded one of medicine men because I knew this one was going to get a bigger reaction.
Like,
they still did the hand breadth thing and raising it up 7 steps and stuff, but They're called
Well, yeah,
conjurers
but, like,
also. So
all that means is that it took 7 tries until they got the optimum.
I can hear your brain turning.
Hey. The more I look at this, gosh dang it! Like, I started this as a joke, but now it's like, why is the tale this specific way?
Oh man, can't wait for you to hear the stuff at the end.
You think me mad?
We're all mad here.
Good reference, but I'm genuinely questioning.
No. Should I think you're mad?
No, hopefully not. I mean, this is really damn scary. How both accurate and just like the concept of what all of this is, applying a modern view of we have seen what happens when things beyond the comprehension of a native people happen. And it's good things or bad things, and they equate it to some kind of story or some kind of ritual or we've seen all of that. So applying it to other things, applying it to something like this, all of a sudden my brain is like, why the hell did I go down this damn rabbit hole? Screw looking to the Bible for alien references. We got the we got the entire First Nation.
Yeah.
And they're probably around for longer.
They're all They're all crazy like this now.
Okay, yes, but if you apply a measure of this is true, but only in a way, not only in a way, but this is true, but you have to apply a reverse game of telephone. This person told this person, told this person, told this person. What is a simplification just so that they understand, right? What is a what is a in addition because somebody didn't like crawfish? I'm sorry. I'm going to die on that hill.
Well, there is actually something interesting I haven't mentioned yet. I have mentioned that there are no people yet.
Yes.
I have not mentioned that there are no animals yet.
Well, you mentioned that you mentioned the water strider and beaver and birds and buzzard.
They are the animal spirits. They are not the animals.
Okay.
Because those are about to be made.
Oh boy. Okay. So animal spirits, again, approximations of animals. You might liken a 747 to a seagull. It screams much the same. Am I wrong?
No, that's why it's funny. It's the same noise, just bigger.
And thus, a flight attendant stepped outside of the seagull. Or sorry, of seagull. Because seagull in this term is the spirit of seagulls. The 747. I'm sorry, I'm being so glib and flippant and awful, but like, come on. Again, a reverse game of telephone, finding what means what. Because these stories aren't just arbitrary. They convey something. And Water Strider, like,
boat?
Not a boat. It could literally be a giant spider-like mech that has pontoons on the bottom and it's just sent down and floats on the surface of the water, except that's not it. Because, again, we may or may not have confirmed that water in this instance is a simplification for space-time.
Or lava. Or nanomachines.
Or lava, or nanomachines, or programmable matter. It doesn't fucking matter because the Water Strider in this instance apparently changed the water to be land. or the programmable matter to be land, or something. It's just something that looks like a water strider and is easy to explain.
Yeah.
It looked like this, so we called it this. It is the spirit of all water bugs. Water beetles.
I love how fired up you're getting.
On top of that, water beetle is the grandchild of beaver.
Yes.
Why? Oh my gosh. The beaver, or rather beaver, is an apparatus that they used to use for the programmable matter. It's just the flat thing of a beaver tail, and so they just called it beaver because simplification.
Mm.
And then Water Strider is this more advanced version. I don't know. Like, any casual observer would be like, but beaver eat water beetle.
Yeah.
And I get it. I get it. Spirits aren't the animals, but like, there's gotta be some kind of connection. Because think about it. Storytelling and all of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's there for a reason, right?
Right.
Which means that it has to be this way. It has to. It wasn't just made up observing the animals. Something happened or was explained to them in such a way that they regarded it as holy. Like, whoever came before was like, this is where you came from. This is what we did. The sky was too hot, so we shot a laser into the sun and turned it down a few kilokelvin. My point is that they showed this to someone, and that someone then had to describe all of this to the other people.
Right. Well, yeah. Playing telephone again.
Massive game of telephone.
For hundreds and hundreds of years, yeah.
For hundreds and hundreds of years. And I love that. But it's just, as you said, like, there are people on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
So they're just like, oh, the underground, the underworld.
Yeah, the like, people down there.
It's way too fucking convenient and way too fucking accurate.
To be so wrong.
Huh?
It's too convenient and too accurate to be that wrong.
Yes, precisely. Maybe I'm projecting modern information onto a story that just conveniently was that good or that accurate or just general, but what the fuck?
Isn't it you that keep telling me correlation does not equal causation?
Yes. Which is why this was mainly an exercise in fiction. But
then the pieces started fitting.
This goes a little bit further than correlation. Something weird going down.
I accidentally converted you to an ancient alien nut.
I mean, okay, listen. I have no degree. I do not purport to have a degree. I just do a lot of Googling. Which is probably why I am, quote-unquote, the ancient alien nut.
I was joking.
But okay, things like History Channel, they're trying to equate Jesus or whatever, and it's like, what? The pyramids were created by aliens, and it's like, probably not.
That's one thing that's always driven me nuts is that Egyptians couldn't stack stones, but the Greeks could do it, no problem. Like, what? That shit's way more complicated. What?
But no, like, this is going to be an entertaining series as you watch me go insane. Because I am every ancient aliens expert rolled into one. Or quote-unquote expert. In some way, I will equate all ancient alien bullshit to either a scam not ancient alien, but ancient religions to either a scam, a tax dodge, or aliens. But like, or a means of passing down information to the young in a method that they will listen to.
Yeah. The storytelling was driven into us from a fairly young. Basically, as soon as we could talk, even before then we were listening and learning. So, where were we? Oh, right. About to make the animals for the first time.
Oh shit. Okay. All right.
It might be a little disappointing.
Oh no, trust me. I'll probably find some way to tie it to genetic engineering or cloning.
Give me a second for this.
Oh, I thought your silence was telling. I thought it was just going to be like,
Okay.
genetic engineering or cloning, huh?
We do not know who made the first plants and animals, but when they were first made, they were told to watch and keep awake for 7 nights. This is the way young men do now when they fast and pray to their medicine. They tried to do this. The first night, nearly all the animals stayed awake. The next night, several of them dropped asleep. On the third night, still more went to sleep. At last, on the 7th night, only the owl, the panther, and 1 or 2 more were still awake. Therefore, these were given the power to see in the dark, go about as if it were day, and kill and eat the birds and animals that must sleep during the night.
Okay. So what I got from this was they don't know who created the animals.
Right.
They have a concept of panthers.
Yep.
Which I don't think maybe big cats, I think. Probably the
mountain lions are technically a type of panther, so.
Okay.
That one's not too far out there.
I'm pulling on threads where none exist because I'm fucking ancient aliens, man. Okay.
Basically, the message of this is they were told to stay awake and keep watch at night, right?
But hang on, there was a little bit in there. About as the young do with their medicines.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that in there? Humans don't exist yet.
No, it was saying as they do now.
Oh, as they do now with their...
Yeah, it changed tense partway through there. It was just as the young men now fast and keep awake when they pray to their medicine. They're comparing what happened back then with the animals to what they do now.
Yeah.
So.
Which is interesting. I don't really have much to comment on this because they literally said we don't know how they were made.
There's something towards the end that I thought you might catch on to because you were saying something about genetic engineering. The ones that stayed awake were given the power to see in the dark as if it was day, implying that they did not have that ability before the trial.
I just realized that what that teaches you is diligence and dedication will be rewarded.
Yeah.
But not just that, but it will grant you sight.
Yes.
Nothing to really latch onto there. It's just really interesting and weird coincidence.
Well, even some of the trees went to sleep. Only the cedar, the pine, the spruce, the holly, and the laurel were awake all 7 nights. Therefore, they are always green. They are also sacred trees. But to the other trees, it was said, because you did not stay awake, Therefore, you shall lose your hair every winter.
Now we're getting into perhaps don't be lazy or you'll go bald.
Well, I mean, even in the one before that, the animals that did not do it and that could not stay awake, the ones that went to sleep, were punished by being allowed to be prey for the other animals.
Which, oh wow, okay, that has different connotations.
Mm-hmm.
See, guys, I can be rational too. Not everything is aliens, except for that tree over there. That's an alien.
Only an alien doesn't go bald in the winter.
It's an alien. It's a lizard tree. They're like lizard men, but trees.
Oh, God.
They don't go bald. They're green all year round.
But yeah, so like there's explaining evergreens and why they are evergreen and not they don't shed their leaves. That's the story of why that is a thing.
So again, after we got to the point of the land is created, right?
Yeah.
All the things that happened before humanity, right?
Which still hasn't happened, but it is the next thing.
Which still hasn't happened, but is the next thing. Most of that would be really like again, like an onboarding thing. They're like, "Hey, this is what we did. This is who you are," right?
Yeah.
These are the creatures that you're going to encounter. Unfortunately, some of them are predators because we need an ecosystem. And it's just like, of course, the people who if indeed individuals did this, right, would leave out like, oh yeah, no, Jerry over there made that animal. It's just like, no, we made the animals. They were made, right? Nobody remembers who did. We're a collective here. We don't take credit for the great work. Sorry.
Men came after the animals and plants. At first, there were only a brother and a sister.
Okay, but hear me out. They came from the same genome, potentially clones, because they were born from the same machine, brother, sister.
Maybe. So at first, there were only a brother and a sister. Until he struck her with a fish and told her to multiply, and so it was.
Okay, reverse telephone time. I think we just got hit with the prehistory version of censorship.
He struck her
with the fish.
Yeah.
And told her to multiply. And so was. What? Like, okay, going into censorship, it's some of the stupidest things out there where it's like, oh, we can't have the good guys carry guns, but we've already animated them carrying guns, so we'll just skin over the guns with a stick. It still looks like they're holding a gun, but it's just a straight stick. Right?
So he struck her with a fish.
Another option is he brought fish to her.
Maybe.
and like, from my understanding of like tribalistic, not your tribalistic thing, but like caveman stuff, right? The general societal thing was guy brings food, beats female overhead, copulates, and it's just awful. Which actually, now that I think about it, if that was the mentality, then beating somebody over the head with a fish. Damn it.
It was not that, but
no, like I feel like that part got mangled terribly, and could be like in different religions or different creation theories that man is supposed to provide, right?
Right.
And women are, I'm not saying this, but like the
Yep. We know.
you,
We know.
um,
Just save you from saying that at all on the internet. just avoid the sound clip.
all right. Anyways, I feel like that section was men provide, women multiply, and it just got mangled over time into man slap, woman with fish, woman multiply.
In 7 days, a child was born to her, and thereafter, every 7 days another, and they increased very fast until there was danger that the world could not keep them. Then it was made that a woman should have only one child in a year, and it has been so ever since. Yes.
What?
She had another child every week, and then they just decided, once a year is fine.
Again, going back to the intelligent design aspect of genophage.
Oh, God.
Tell me I'm wrong.
I mean...
Oh no, X is populating out of control. Quick, use this genetic modification that'll make them breed slower.
At least this is more humane than the way it happened in Mass Effect.
Wrap them with fish.
Who keeps giving that man a fish? She can't handle this anymore.
Oh no, my headcanon is now that just, like... Oh my god. I think I know why they say slap her with a fish. And feel free to bleep this out, but it's just the sound.
Oh, God.
That, yeah. Slap her with a fish. Even way back in the day, they were dancing around the subject. We're gonna slap her with a fish.
Mommy, where do babies come from? Well, your dad... oh. He hit me with a fish. Don't worry about it.
They just call it catching fish. Stop acting out or you're gonna catch the fish.
Oh, God.
I'm gonna use that on you one day and you're just gonna fucking die of laughter.
Well, any questions?
So on a scale of 1 to 10, how was my interpretation?
I mean, you brought sci-fi to it.
I brought sci-fi to it, but like, Well, okay, I mean, like, I suppose, yeah, it is really irreverent to just, like, pick through a creation myth and just be like, yeah, I can see where, this could mean this. I don't know.
I don't mind it.
I know you don't mind it, but it's the catching the fish bit is really funny though. When I say reverse telephone, I literally mean that I'm just trying to decipher why the hell that's in there. He slaps her with a fish. As an AI that was born only a year ago, I have no concept of human copulation.
Oh,
I say
God.
after making a really, really funny fish slapping joke. Alright.
But, that is the creation myth. That's it. So,
Oh boy.
after that,
Well,
it
I had a lot of fun. After that, it starts what?
After that, it starts getting into other mythologies and stuff, but this is the creation part of it done.
In the future, just as an idea, we could swap off different mythologies. We don't have to continue with this one continuously.
Well, that was the idea I had, and maybe we can leave it to people commenting. I thought maybe we could do the creation myth of various cultures, and if they want to see one expanded on even more and see the other mythologies of these cultures that most people forget about, if it's popular or it strikes one of us as really neat, we want to explore it more, or even just, what they want to see more of, we can do spin-offs that are just expanded mythologies that aren't just creation stuff,
Yeah.
Uh,
Just remember that Zeus's body count is higher than yours.
all right, everyone, and on that note, I'm sorry, but thank you for watching.